and we will guarantee you access to the pond.
Could a seemingly simple property deal tear an entire family apart? Things are about to get wild in the Brown household, where whispers of shady finances and secret land agreements are lighting up the rumor mill.
I felt a little disappointed when we decided not to, but then at the same time I thought maybe it's better. Maybe it's the best choice. I just didn't know for sure.
With Kody and Robyn on one side and Meri and Janelle on the other, the stakes have never been higher or more dramatic.
I think Kody's offered these two pieces at the very end of the road toward going out of the property to pretty much everybody that we know.
Some claim there's a hidden motive behind Kody's latest move, and others suspect that someone's been hiding receipts for years. Either way, this isn't just about buying land. It's about loyalties, betrayals, and a mountain of money ready to change hands.
Maybe I should just trade you one of those lots for part of the work, or maybe both of them for like 3/4 of the work.
Now he's talking. You can see the wheels turning.
Before you even think about clicking away, here's a friendly warning. By the time we reach the end, there's a startling piece of information set to flip everything you think you know upside down.
He's not talking to me about it, so I think I'm gonna have to lawyer up.
Although we often see the Browns smiling, at least in older footage, the undercurrent of tension has never really disappeared. Anyone who's followed their story knows the Browns packed up and left their old life, hoping Flagstaff would give them a fresh start. Yet some folks believe Flagstaff didn't necessarily solve their problems. It merely gave them new spots to bury them. Meri and Janelle, for instance, have quietly worried about the family's finances for years. Both invested in the dream of Coyote Pass, the sprawling piece of land full of promise and possibility. Initially, Kody pitched it like a magical cure-all. We'll each have our own portion, and we'll build these gorgeous homes where we can all thrive. But as time ticked by, those visions began to look less like a dream and more like an expensive headache. Friends close to the Browns occasionally dropped hints that all was not well. Some suggested Kody and Robyn had an outsized say in how money was spent. Others whispered about the mounting frustration Meri and Janelle felt when their voices were sidelined, especially in big decisions like property negotiations.
Put the money into the house. I said, well, I think it would be fair if all of our names were on the mortgage.
While nobody wanted to paint the family as a battleground of resentments, it became harder to ignore how finances always seemed to spark heated conversations. As outside observers, many fans scratched their heads. If Coyote Pass was such a burden, why cling to it?
And he's like, no, we need to protect Robyn's estate. She needs to have it so it's hers, so it's ours.
The answer might lie in the hidden potential for profit. Flagstaff real estate has been shooting up in value, meaning the family could stand to gain a pretty penny if everything fell into place. But that profit won't just magically appear in each person's bank account. The messy tangle of legalities, whose names are on which deeds, who paid which mortgages, who's actually obligated to whom, makes any property sale as complicated as a puzzle missing half its pieces. Underneath these logistical problems, personal grudges simmered. Janelle felt shortchanged. Meri wondered if she'd poured her resources into something she'd never truly benefit from. Meanwhile, Kody and Robyn seemed laser-focused on protecting their own interests. Throw in a dash of swirling rumors, like one that Robyn might be eyeing an even bigger home, and you get a perfect recipe for tension.
I know just recently, when Janelle's bringing up, that Kody and I owe her something, it's like, how do you calculate, how do you figure that out?
Yet, for a while, everything stayed relatively calm on the surface. There were no major blow-ups beyond the occasional bickering. But if you've ever tried to keep a lid on a boiling pot, you know it only works for so long. By the time we head into the next phase of this saga, that lid is about to crack. But that's just scratching the surface. What started as a series of mundane conversations, how do we split the property lines, or who's paying taxes on which lot, spiraled into a bigger issue the moment real money got involved. In most families, dividing up household bills is friction enough. Multiply that by multiple wives, ex-wives, shared bank accounts, and a chunk of land everyone's contributed to, and you have a bomb waiting to explode. Meri, for her part, felt she'd been contributing more than her fair share at the outset. She had ideas for a potential bed and breakfast venture or a small rental business on her slice of Coyote Pass. Janelle imagined a home that would accommodate not just her needs, but those of her children who still popped in. She saw the land as a foundation for independence, a place to call hers. Meanwhile, Kody and Robyn, though they insisted they wanted everyone happy, seemed to hold the loudest voices. Kody, ever the showman, loved to make promises about how it'll all work out, which left Meri and Janelle wondering whether that optimism was genuine or just a tactic to delay real decisions. Skeptics felt Kody used his charismatic pep talks to keep everyone in a holding pattern while he and Robyn strategized behind the scenes. Bills began piling up, and confusion grew over who owed what. The property taxes alone on multiple adjacent lots in a prime Flagstaff location weren't cheap. Rumors swirled that Kody and Robyn had used funds earmarked for family expenses, to cover extra personal costs, maybe for fancy furniture, or that rumor about an online shopping spree. It's all speculation, of course, but you know how the internet loves to gossip. Meri and Janelle didn't want an all-out war. They'd been through enough battles, heartbreaks, and reconciliations in the past, especially in that precarious period when everyone tried to figure out their place in this plural marriage. But money has a way of pushing people to extremes. And once the suspicion creeps in that someone isn't playing fair, it's hard to shake off. The frustration ratcheted up every time they met to discuss property lines and next steps. Janelle, ever practical, wanted a clear plan. Are we building? Are we selling? Are we dividing it equally? Meri, occasionally more reserved, was no less concerned. She just wanted a straight answer about her rights to the land, especially if she was pouring in her own resources. Both women felt that every time they tried to pin down specifics, Kody danced around details, leaving them more confused than before. If this were just about a single city lot, maybe it wouldn't feel so dramatic. But Coyote Pass is big. The family is bigger, and the potential windfall is huge. Under those circumstances, even minor disagreements have a way of roaring into full-blown conflict. But that wasn't all. A new rumor was about to light the spark. As if property lines and tax bills weren't enough, a fresh rumor started circulating among close acquaintances and fans scouring public records. Supposedly, Robyn's personal spending was off the charts. Everything from pricey decor to luxury items that made even the most loyal supporters side-eye the situation. Could it be that some of the family funds had gone to cover credit card statements for lavish indulgences? Meri and Janelle weren't oblivious to these whispers. People gossip, and that gossip often finds its way back. Whether or not they believed every story is another question. Still, the persistent chatter about missing money made them wary. Maybe it was nothing, or maybe it pointed to a bigger problem. A new wedge dividing the Browns. Janelle's frustration grew each time she took a peek at her own finances and realized how much she'd put into Coyote Pass. She'd set aside funds in hopes of actually building a home there, one that could be her sanctuary. For years, fans rooted for Janelle, who was known to be practical, resourceful, and cautious with big decisions. Seeing her in a position where she might lose out on her investment outraged many. She's worked too hard for that. Some folks insisted. Meri's stance was slightly more complicated. She and Kody had drifted apart, forging a relationship that sometimes seemed more like distant acquaintances than spouses. Yet she still held on, maybe for old time's sake, or the dream of a unified family. Her investment in Coyote Pass wasn't just about cash. It was tied to a sense of belonging, even if that belonging felt shaky. One day, Janelle reportedly confronted Kody about the rumored overspending. "We all decided this property was for the family, so why am I hearing about random debts and questionable bills?" she asked. Instead of reassurance, Kody allegedly offered a vague explanation about managing finances, which didn't exactly ease her concerns. Robyn stepped in, stating that everything was under control. But was it? From the outside, it looked like Kody and Robyn formed a tight alliance, while Meri and Janelle were left guessing what was truly happening with the family nest egg. The tension between the pairs was palpable, like two different teams playing on the same field, but following completely different rulebooks. The big question: would these simmering issues remain behind the scenes or erupt into a public spectacle? Many longtime watchers speculated that the next argument would be bigger than anything we've seen before, and they were right to be curious, because the bombshell that dropped next took everyone by surprise. But that still wasn't the entire storm brewing. News travels fast in Flagstaff real estate circles. One morning, murmurs of a newly listed piece of land, shockingly close to Coyote Pass, spread like wildfire. The asking price? A jaw-dropping figure way higher than anyone anticipated. In an instant, this external sale became the talk of local forums and social media pages, especially among those already invested, financially or emotionally, in the Brown family drama. Why did this matter? Simple. If land next door was going for top dollar, Coyote Pass might be worth way more than the Browns ever realized. What once might have been a comfortable profit suddenly looked like a potential gold mine. For Kody and Robyn, who had a substantial share in the property, this meant an opportunity to rake in serious cash, if they played their cards right. Meri and Janelle also saw the silver lining. If Coyote Pass's value shot up, they too stood to gain a decent return on their investments. But here's the catch. Kody, always having a knack for controlling the narrative, might well decide how and if the land gets sold. Some watchers speculated he'd prefer to sit on it and wait for the highest bidder, while Meri and Janelle might want to cut their losses and move on. After all, the emotional toll was as real as the financial strain. How long should they cling to a plan that never got off the ground? Rumors swirled around the possibility that this newly listed property was just the beginning. Word on the street was that a few other local owners, eyeing the market's climb, considered selling too. Imagine multiple listings popping up around Kody Pass, each one confirming that land in the area had soared in value. That scenario could spark an even bigger clash among the Browns, given how fiercely each side might fight for a slice of the windfall. It didn't take long for Meri and Janelle to sense an urgency they hadn't felt before. If they didn't clarify their ownership stakes now, they might risk Kody maneuvering behind the scenes to secure a sweeter deal for himself and Robyn. That's not to say he would necessarily push them out, but the suspicion loomed. A sense of move fast or lose big spurred Meri and Janelle to demand immediate answers. The days of politely waiting for Kody to schedule yet another family meeting were over. What happened next threw a match on an already smoldering situation. Faced with the possibility of being sidelined, Meri and Janelle decided to confront the issue head-on. They demanded a proper meeting to hash out property rights, responsibilities, and the big question: are we selling or building? And who's in charge of this process? Kody, presumably tired of the back and forth, insisted that they needed to talk calmly. But anyone who's ever tried to have a calm conversation with tension this thick knows that's easier said than done. Meri explained that she'd poured a chunk of her resources into Kody Pass with the belief that her share was secure. She emphasized that, for her, it wasn't only about money, but about feeling included and respected, something that had been in short supply lately. Janelle, more direct, said she wanted clarity on whether she'd be allowed to build her dream home. She'd been waiting for building permits, or at least a sign that progress was underway. Instead, she got shrugs, confusing reassurances, and endless delays. The atmosphere grew heated when Robyn chimed in, suggesting that everyone needed to remember their commitments to the bigger family picture. Janelle reportedly shot back, "What family picture? You mean the one where you and Kody make all the decisions, and we just nod along?" The tension in that moment could have been sliced with a butter knife. Kody tried to mediate, sort of, by urging them not to escalate. Yet, in Meri and Janelle's eyes, the real escalation had happened months, if not years, before. Some viewers imagined that behind closed doors, Meri and Janelle might have considered seeking legal advice. After all, polygamous relationships lack the typical marital protections and dividing lines. Without a straightforward legal framework, how do you ensure each party gets treated fairly? If Kody's name is on specific deeds, does that leave Meri and Janelle out in the cold? Or does their financial contribution entitle them to something that can be proven in court? Those questions loomed larger than ever, especially once the rumor spread that a neighbor's property had listed for a massive sum. Suddenly, the stakes weren't just high, they were astronomical. If Kody Pass fetched a comparable price per acre, we're talking about a deal worth well over $1 million, potentially creeping into the multi-million range. Who wouldn't fight to secure their share of that fortune? Yet the real surprise was still lurking in the wings. While Meri and Janelle were gearing up for a more aggressive approach, Robyn stunned everyone with an out-of-the-blue proposal. She hinted they should hold off on selling anything until the market peaks. The reason she gave was simple enough: we might as well get the best return for all the work we've put in. On the surface, that argument seemed logical. Why sell now if a bigger profit could be around the corner? But skeptics saw another angle. Maybe Robyn and Kody wanted more time to figure out a way to boost their own share, whether by securing extra loans, adjusting deeds, or convincing Meri and Janelle to sign legal documents that favored them. Meri, who'd been on the receiving end of more than one read the fine print situation, wasn't eager to trust any plan without a crystal clear breakdown of who gets what. Rumor had it that Robyn might have also suggested a redivision of the Kody Pass land. Something about rearranging lot lines so that each party would own an equally appealing piece. But from Janelle's perspective, that rearrangement looked suspiciously like a sweet deal for Kody and Robyn, who'd end up with a more marketable slice, maybe one with better road access or a nicer view of the forested hills. If this plan was meant to calm tensions, it backfired spectacularly. Meri, often more subdued, actually spoke up, questioning why, after years of waiting, they'd rearrange the property lines now. Janelle doubled down, asking for a formal agreement that guaranteed her stake. Kody grew increasingly frustrated, claiming he was trying to do right by everyone. But each new explanation just sparked more questions. The comedic side of all this, if you can call it comedic, is that neighbors reportedly saw cars coming and going from Kody Pass more frequently. Did the Browns think they could talk to potential buyers without letting each other know? Or were they just scoping out the land to figure out the best strategy? Nobody knew for sure. But if there's one thing certain about the Browns, it's that every curious move eventually gets noticed, one way or another. And at this point, things were about to escalate even further. With distrust hitting record levels, the entire situation felt like it was teetering on a knife's edge, waiting for one final push to send it over. That push came when a well-connected real estate agent, rumored to have inside info, let slip that another parcel near Coyote Pass might go on the market soon, at an even higher list price. For Meri and Janelle, this sounded like confirmation that their land could be worth a fortune right now, not later. Why wait for an uncertain peak when immediate profit was within reach? If a neighboring property sold quickly at a premium, the Coyote Pass acreage could leap even higher in value. For them, the path was clear. Sell now, get a big payout, and finally move forward without Kody's endless waffling. But from Kody and Robyn's corner came a fierce objection. We can't just cut and run. They hinted that selling so soon might ruin the original vision for Coyote Pass. Kody trotted out an old dream of building multiple homes in a circle so everyone remained one big family. Meri and Janelle, however, had seen that promise fade long ago. The dream meant little if it had no actual plan behind it. The meeting where these arguments collided was explosive. Voices were raised, frustrations boiled over, and deep-seated resentments, some going back years, surfaced in a very raw way. People close to the Browns said it was the most tension they'd witnessed yet, with no easy resolution in sight. Kody tried to play peacemaker and visionary, but his credibility had worn thin. Robyn, normally quick to defend Kody's ideas, got pushback from both Meri and Janelle, who were no longer willing to accept broad platitudes in place of facts and figures. Fans speculated that if the disagreement couldn't be resolved amicably, the only remaining option might be a legal one, some sort of forced partition or lawsuit to ensure each party gets what they contributed. Many wondered, would the threat of lawyers encourage compromise? Or would it tear the family bonds beyond repair? Right when everyone thought the chaos had peaked, one final revelation rattled the foundations. Here's the kicker. A close acquaintance of the Browns revealed that Meri and Janelle might have documentation, bank statements, receipts, and paper trails proving just how much they'd paid toward Coyote Pass. If those documents confirm what they suspect, namely that they've invested more than Kody publicly acknowledged, then the entire dispute could veer in an unexpected direction. For years, some watchers assumed Kody and Robyn called the shots simply because Kody was the legal point man for the land. But if Meri and Janelle can show a paper trail, it might force a more equitable split or even a buyout. Imagine the shock if a court decided that Meri and Janelle had an equal or greater claim to certain parcels. Suddenly, Kody and Robyn's plan to hold out or rearrange might collapse under legal scrutiny. This isn't to say Meri and Janelle will sue. No one can confirm that step yet. But the possibility alone adds a new dimension to the drama. It suggests that Kody might need to come to the bargaining table with genuine compromises instead of lofty promises. And it raises the stakes. If the land is indeed worth millions, we're not talking about a small family tiff. We're talking about real wealth that could alter each person's future. The comedic twist here is that while fans and neighbors gossip nonstop, the Browns themselves are left playing a game of strategic chess. Each new rumor or hint of a listing changes the board, forcing them to pivot. Some nights you can almost picture them staring at endless spreadsheets, deeds, and contradictory advice from acquaintances, trying to figure out how to come out on top. So, where does all this leave the family, and what does it mean for the next chapter in their saga? In the grand scheme of Brown family drama, this might be the biggest turning point yet. The surprising property deal next door has jolted everyone into action, pushing old grievances to the forefront and sparking fresh suspicions about money, loyalty, and real intentions. Meri and Janelle, weary from years of uncertainty, have found new determination to secure their stakes. Kody and Robyn, facing whispers of overspending and cunning maneuvers, hold on to their vision. Whether that vision is truly about unity or something more self-serving depends on whom you ask. What's clear is that the days of politely waiting for a consensus are gone. The possibility of legal involvement looms, and the question of whether Coyote Pass might go up for sale remains unresolved. For viewers, the drama has never felt more real, as the stakes shift from mere family disagreements to the potential dividing of a multi-million-dollar asset. As the dust settles, if it ever does, will we see an agreement that benefits everyone? or an all-out war that splinters the family beyond repair. Maybe the property gets sold at a premium, funding brand new beginnings for some, while others cling to the dream of building on that scenic stretch of land. Or perhaps the tension simmers until one decisive court case lays everything out in black and white. Above all, this saga reminds us that money, land, and legacy can create seismic tremors in any family, even one that once prided itself on unity. Only time will tell if Coyote Pass becomes the site of a grand Brown family reunion, or just another cautionary tale about how big promises can crumble under the weight of hidden agendas. For now, keep your eyes on the rumor mill and your ears open for the latest news from Flagstaff. In a world where fortunes rise overnight, grudges linger for years, and alliances change in a blink, one truth remains: anything can happen, and it usually does. And there you have it, a deep dive into the swirling drama, the ongoing money dispute, and the sudden jolt of a neighboring property deal that promises to shake the Brown family's foundations. Whether this ends in a peaceful compromise or a fiery fallout, one thing's certain: the story's not over yet.